with my consulting business, which I've been doing since I left Hoya back in 2014,
Yeah.
um, I have clients that are, in Asia, I have clients in Europe, I have clients in the US. And, I work either out of my home office or I'm out and about, right?
Right.
Out and about meeting at major shows and, congresses and things of that nature. So, for me, it's not all that different.
Uh-huh.
Although there has been a substantial slowdown with activity as people are, getting used to video conferencing and everything else, and particularly the larger companies that they're used to bumping into people in the office. Hey, let's have a meeting. Well, that's not happening, So now everything is very programmed. Trying to get decisions with the larger companies is much slower,
Right.
and the small companies are just, they're entrepreneurial in their own ways, so they're figuring out new ways to, keep their business moving.
Tom, what do you think, with your eye on this industry for so many years, what do you think are going to be the business models, let's say, that carry us through these times? Is it going to be things like telehealth? What's going to be hot and what's not during this period?
Well, you named one of them right away, telehealth. I had my first telehealth appointment yesterday with a physician.
Oh,
So, it was good. And I actually got another one this week. So for me, I wanted to also experience it and just see how these practices are adapting to technology. What is the patient and physician interaction? There is no question it's going to play a role. How big of a role? I think that's yet to be determined because patients like to sit across the table from their physician, right?
right.
And you're taking that, particularly if you're going to have surgery. Um,
Yeah.
that's a big step. I don't care if it's what we think it's kind of simple cataract surgery. It's surgery, and you got to feel, you got to feel the practice. I was also in a practice recently, with the social distancing, with the chairs in the waiting room.
Yeah.
It's quite different. I mean, it is really different when you used to sit, shoulder to shoulder with, 20 people. Now there's 5 people in the waiting room.
Right.
And so, telehealth definitely, I think everybody's going to be jumping in on that. Um, and for me, one of the other things that really screams at us is how the practices come back and kind of reboot themselves and at what speed. I looked at something yesterday from American Airlines. American Airlines filling up, every seat on the plane, like 80+% full, from Miami to New York. No masks, no temperatures being taken ahead of time, and people shoulder to shoulder like the old days.
Right. Right.
So I use that as an example of what I don't want to see as a patient. I mean, I don't want to experience that on a flight, not yet.
Yeah.
And so I think the practices have to continue to rethink what they want to be and think about that patient experience more than they ever have previously.
Hmm.
The patient experience, getting the patients comfortable in the office environment, and then making that commitment to a surgery. If it's at an ambulatory surgery center that's kind of self-contained and controlled, that's an environment that you can feel safe in.
I've
If
heard
it's
those
going
ASCs are kind of taking off even more now, or at
yeah.
least could, I suppose.
Yeah, well, in the United States, I think it's over 75% of the surgeries are done in ambulatory surgery centers. So in ophthalmology, that's a nice, safe, contained environment.
Yeah.
But it'll still go through radical changes from what we used to know. When we look at, the cataract patient, you got to look at the age of the average cataract patient and say, these people are going to be a little bit, timid in terms of getting their head around going back in for an elective procedure. It's going to start happening. but it's not going to happen fast. And the last thing we want to see is, return to the old days, much like American Airlines is trying to do. And I think we got to get people comfortable. We got to get people feeling good about, that individual interaction with the physician.
Yeah.
Could start with telehealth, but that individual, interface is going to be critical.
Much like planes, do clinics need to be concerned about seating? Do they need to be concerned about the distance? Do they need to be concerned about the staff that are breathing on potential clients? What are the corollaries there?
Well, I think all of the above. I mean, when you think about, I visited one of the practices just last week.
Yeah.
The first thing I had to do was get my temperature taken before going in the door, even with an appointment.
Okay.
And then once I got in the door, um, then again, the social distancing with the chair seating was very, very different. I mean, there were, you know, uh, stickers on each of the chairs. Don't sit here. Don't sit here. Don't sit here. This is where you
Oh,
sit. And then when the doctor came out to greet me with a mask
right.
and all the receptionists with masks, so the staff was proper. And then actually there was somebody actually cleaning the seating even after a patient would leave. So they
Right.
were spraying the seats and cleaning them. So all of those things, if you're another patient sitting in that waiting area, it's going to make you feel more comfortable that they're taking every precaution possible, and that's what you want.
Right.
Um,
Right.
you know, I'm aghast at what American Airlines is doing at the moment, and it's just for me, it's a lot about brand building, you
Yeah.
know, and potential uh, brand destruction at this
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
You think about the practice, it's going to be what do they stand for? What is their brand that they want to communicate to the patients? You know, I don't think we want to get to where people are driving as fast as they can, overnight. We need to be doing this in stages and do it properly.
We originally talked about education as it relates to Asia Pacific many years ago and the opportunities. And certainly we've been kind of riding that wave up. But I saw something last night that I thought, this could be rather interesting. I saw a poster for an AIOS, All India Ophthalmological Society webinar. It was
Mhm.
full of international KOLs,
Yep.
and they were all wearing different costumed digital hats, a Joker hat, a King hat, a Queen hat, everything. And I thought to myself, I might have been laughed at once upon a time, but something tells me maybe I was just ahead of the curve. And maybe now more than ever before, this content that's maybe a little bit strange off the wall, but very engaging is going to really be king very soon.
I would agree with you. Because webinars have been around for years, and some companies embrace them, and some companies didn't. Now everybody is really, I think, forced to really embrace it. And then, you know, you can kind of do it in the boring same old, or you can come up with creative ways to get people, excited about participating in some kind of an educational event. And I think companies will need to lead with education, not only for the practices, but also for the consumers.
Right.
Uh, and then even the practices have got to, fill in the void for the patients. They're not going to be sitting in the waiting room, picking up brochures.
I kind of feel like the quality of what's going on right now in terms of webinars, we're kind of seeing the first wave come through where doctors have a lot of time on their hands. They're getting together with their friend doctors and they're putting these things up. They're coming up like mushrooms.
Yep.
But, the quality isn't quite there. It's a little choppy. It's kind of amateur hour.
Yeah.
I think the WOC, even more than the ASCRS, is trying to do something with a virtual exhibition where you'd actually go in, you could see booths in 3D, which I think will be interesting. But I almost wonder if there could be like a gamer effect down the pike where you've got something like Second Life you're going in, you can shake someone's hand because it's just a virtual hand. And with the doctors being techie, whether that could be something of the future.
Yeah, it's an interesting thought. I think what people will miss most is that human interaction. It's the face to face.
Right.
It's the touch and feel of devices for the surgeons.
Yeah.
And how do you replace that? Um, when you would walk by a booth, you walk by the Zeiss booth, right? My gosh, look at all the people with the hands on the diagnostic instruments. The representatives are teaching them, new tricks or new operating procedures. Or so, yeah, I don't know from a virtual perspective, if we can cross that bridge or kind of shrink the need to
Yep.
have human interaction. That to me is still a big question mark.
Yeah.